This isn't play, it's actually work. Competing at the highest level can take an elite athlete all over the world. Welcome to Cross Island, Bermuda, the location of the first Grand Prix of Season 3 of SailGP. Hannah, here we are in Bermuda. Ain't too shabby.
No, it's absolutely stunning. I love it here. I've only been a few times, but just the colour of the water, the sailing here, it's absolutely amazing.
Yes, it looks pretty glamorous, although it's not always pretty.
Yeah, I mean, I remember growing up sort of from the age of maybe 11, 12 and getting stopped in racing with something catching under the boat, and generally it would be a big bit of plastic and it would literally stop you dead. And at the time you were in competition and it wasn't a huge topic and people weren't talking about it, so I kind of just forgot about it. But yeah, it definitely happened, but not that frequently, whereas now every time we go sailing we see plastic.
Hannah Mills is a double Olympic sailing champion, but her first of those 2 gold medals was affected by another realisation.
Rio, we spent a lot of time training there, sort of 3 months in total in the build-up, so we got really used to the place, and that was the first place I'd been to that plastic pollution was just so in your face. You know, it was in all the tide lines, which is where stuff gathers in the water. It was really visual where we launched our boats, and it was heartbreaking actually, and it just made me really think, this is massive, we need to do something about this. We can't carry on polluting and letting plastic and all sorts of things get into the oceans and killing wildlife and all the other damaging effects.
Plastic pollution is nothing new. The problem is that it's not going away, and if anything, it's getting worse. Give us a sense of how big a problem this is, like stats and facts about plastic pollution.
Yeah, it's huge. We produce 1 million single-use plastic bottles every minute globally. By 2050 and maybe even 2040, there's going to be more plastic in the sea than fish. And the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is a huge patch of plastic that's gathered in the Pacific Ocean for various reasons, is now 3 times the size of France, so it's huge.
No doubt then about the impact on both Hannah's natural and competitive environment, so perhaps no surprise that a greater purpose in Hannah's life and career began to take shape. So what was the first major thing you decided to do then?
Well, I firstly decided I wanted to change what I was doing with my Olympic campaigning and make a list basically of all the things that I could do to reduce my single-use plastic consumption. And then I sort of thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if other athletes wanted to do this as well, and other sports events and stuff. And so I kind of ended up launching what's now called the Big Plastic Pledge, which is essentially trying to eradicate single-use plastic in sport. But it all got a lot bigger than I expected because of a chance encounter with one of the heads of sustainability at the IOC, the International Olympic Committee, who we got talking. She loved what I was trying to do, and through that connection they got back to the Big Plastic Pledge and myself, and I became their first sustainability ambassador. So yeah, it was quite the journey.
And that role with the IOC means Hannah gets the inside track on what's happening as we head towards Paris 2024 in terms of keeping the Games' carbon footprint as low as possible. 95%
of the venues are all already there or will be deconstructed and reconstructed, so temporary venues, which is really exciting. A lot of the transport is going to be sort of electric or hydrogen transport. There's loads of really cool things, and I personally see the Olympic Games as kind of this mini city where actually you can really bring in innovative solutions and ideas and trial them on this kind of smaller scale. Hi everyone, Hannah Mills here, part of the GBR SailGP team up in Scotland, Glasgow today for the COP26 climate summit that's taking place over the next couple of weeks.
Swapping the sporting platform for a political one, in a few short months, Hannah turned from winner of Olympic gold to lobbyer of world leaders, shining the light on the climate conversation at COP, a critically important meeting and moment.
It was an amazing experience actually to be there, and I was lucky enough to have access to one of the zones where all the political leaders were, and so you'd kind of be walking around and you'd just see all these people that you're like, oh my gosh, this is pretty major.
And she came with a plan. Working with fellow GB athlete, rower Melissa Wilson, they got some huge sporting names to directly speak to those who make the decisions that affect us all.
Dear leaders of the world.
Dear leaders of the world.
This summer, at the Tokyo Olympic and Paralympic Games, We as athletes chased excellence in the face of challenges.
To overcome obstacles.
To lead the pack.
We've just had this incredible Olympics and Paralympics under the most unprecedented circumstances of COVID and the pandemic. And just the ambition, the courage, the dedication of athletes to get there, the organising committee and the Olympic committee to make it happen. That's what we need from our leaders at COP26. So let's harness that and try and address them to say we want to see huge ambition and action.
Heat, humidity and extreme weather conditions
mean many of our sports are already under threat.
And sport is just one part of a much greater global picture.
What does that tell us then about the power of the athlete voice?
I think for me there's a few things. I think firstly that athletes do care and they do want to be a part of this and they want to have a voice in this space. But equally how ready people were to put their hand up when it was a group project and it wasn't just one person sort of doing something on their own, and the fact that it was lots of athletes together. I think that was really, really important.
Back on water, a fresh challenge for Hannah to take on. Sail GP, a new global series where national teams race in super fast, identical foiling catamarans on short course venues close to shore. It's a who's who of sailing. It is some spectacle, and it can get spicy.
But how brave are you feeling, Ben? It's the voice of Ian Jensen. They're flying too high. They're going to stop. They've stopped it. This could be over. Capsize coming.
Oh, and a capsize for Great Britain in the finale.
Yeah, I mean, Sail GP is just the most insane sporting event to be a part of. You know, the boats are 50 foot long, they're catamarans, so they're two hulls. They've got foils, which means they fly out the water and they go incredibly fast. They go sort of up to 100 kilometres an hour at times, which is just a bit mind-blowing, the G-forces as you turn. But I think what's really cool is the style of racing. It's super short. We have boundaries, so you're all kept really close together, so it's action-packed, pretty hectic, and the races are 10 minutes long, so it's really intense.
And climate action is also a huge part of Sail GP's DNA.
We're the first carbon-neutral sports property event, which is really exciting. And then, it's what can we do that's more than that, you know, reducing emissions, obviously, and then innovating and finding solutions to the problems that we're facing as a sports event. And I think that's massive in the sports market because sports' global carbon footprint is roughly the same as a country like Spain or Portugal. So it's big, it's really, really big. And you know, you look at different sporting events like football or Formula One or whatever, and Sail GP, and we're travelling around the world, so we need to do something about ourselves.
There's one other unique element, which is the Impact League.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, the Impact League is really exciting, I think. It's essentially a league for the planet. So, you know, the teams that are competing and racing on the water for the win, but we're also racing off the water for the planet. And what I mean by that is, so at each event, we're audited quite severely in terms of around 10 different areas to do with sustainability and climate change. So whether it's energy consumption, transport, the food we eat, the clothing we wear, the waste we produce, all of these things we get audited on and we get points.
Gamifying sustainability within sport, that really is the game changer, making it part and parcel of what the athletes do. The race is on then to find that next hack, to up your green game, to gain more points, to take your place on the podium for the planet.
Okay, so we are back where the driver goes and the sixth person, so the strategist. And as you can see in here, we've got spare air. So this used to be attached by cable ties. So every event it would get changed, 10 events, 10 teams, quite a big impact. So they're now permanently attached, 3D printed across the whole fleet. So massive reduction in waste there.
And it's a big goal this season, win the Impact League. No better way to reinforce her reputation as sustainability superstar and climate champion. But where will Hannah's journey take her next?
Are there any big life events coming up, Hannah, involving, let's say, someone else you want to help bring into this world and talk to you about these kind of things?
I'm enjoying how you've tried to get that question across. Yeah, I am pregnant, currently pregnant, due in October. So yeah, it's a big life change, and it's been interesting since the Olympics. Sort of, yeah, coming to terms, I guess, with that change, and it's massive, and I think I'm just getting my head around what's to come. Actually, I don't think you ever get your head around it. But yeah, for sure, it definitely makes you want to work harder, and it makes you want to do more to try and leave the best possible world and planet that you can.
The perfect time then to be an even greater inspiration and make yet more waves, just a little closer to home. David Garrido, Sky Sports, Bermuda.
So this coming weekend, Hannah will be involved with Great Britain's SailGB team at the latest event of Season 3 in Plymouth, which you can see live on Sky Sports. It starts on Saturday at 2 o'clock on Sky Sports Arena.